You want to come to a comfortable seat. Let your, when we practice this grounding the line meditation, if sitting in like a cross-legged seat isn't comfortable, you can sit in a chair. And if you are not sitting on the ground and you end up sitting on a chair, the instructions talk about through the pelvis, you would just carry those same instructions out through the feet. And this goes so how when you practice it maybe on your own, if you're standing somewhere or you're in a chair, the same, but instead of out through the pelvis, it would go down the line of the feet. The way I'm going to cue it today is through the sitting bones and through the pelvis, because I'm seated on the ground. And then if you're seated on the ground, you want to make sure that you're comfortable enough so that you can be here for a few moments. So it's okay to really prop your seat up or lean up against a wall. You let your hands come to your lap or anywhere that feels comfortable. And you're invited to close the eyes. You can always open them at any point if you need to. And we start our meditation by simply inviting ourselves to be fully in the room. So that means to just notice if you're kind of wandered off in your thoughts, still thinking about maybe something that was going on before this moment or something that you might have to do later. Trying to, and not in a harsh way, but to pull yourself into what is happening in the room with you right now. So notice the temperature of the air around you. You might notice any sounds that are in your home or wherever you are. Can you notice how your clothing feels against the skin? You might pick a certain article of clothing, so maybe how your shirt feels. Just noticing the physical sensation of it. You might notice how your pants feel underneath the palms of your hands. And if you have a hard time noticing that, you might let the hands just gently kind of move a little bit across the lap so that you can feel the texture of the clothing or the skin. Bring yourself into the sensation of the physical body. So even just simply this as a practice, pulling yourself into the moment, into your physical body by feeling sensations, helps to calm and nourish the nervous system. And then we start to notice our breath, drawing ourselves a little bit farther in towards the body And you can start with the physical sensations of the breath. If you have a hard time holding focus on the breath, placing a hand on the belly or a hand on the heart, or both, so that you can feel a more tactile experience of the physical sensations. Otherwise, you might be able to just, with your mind's awareness, feel how the breath comes in, the lungs expand, the diaphragm pulls down, and the belly gets bigger. And as you exhale, how that retracts. You might even notice how that plays into the sensation of your body meeting the clothing. Or maybe you can notice the organs, the muscles meeting the skin. Just simply watching your own breath here for a few more. And then we let go of the witnessing on the inhale. Let the inhale be soft and relaxed. And focus in on the exhale. At the same time as we focus on the exhale, we'll start to draw our awareness to our seat, where it's meeting your blanket or cushion or pillow, or maybe just the floor. And you might be able to feel into the places of the pelvis that are the sitting bones. So the bony aspect of our seat. And if that represented two sides of a diamond-like shape, we have a front side of the pelvic floor and a back side of the pelvic floor, completing that shape. And at the very center of that diamond lives the Muladhara, or the root chakra. And here we're just noticing, can I detect this area in my body? And this might be enough, just having our awareness there at the seat. And it's okay to breathe and stay with this part of the body. If we're moving forward, we're using our exhales. Again, the inhales are just kind of a pause, a moment. We'll use our exhales to start to move down into the earth. And we want to move into a strong channel. So as if the front side of the diamond, the back side, and the two sides through our sitting bones, they gathered together in like a pyramid-like shape, drawing down straight underneath the root chakra, fusing together to make this energetic tether that we start to send into the earth. Inhale, you pause. Exhale, you start to gather that below your body. You might have a particular color that comes to mind, and if, as you visualize this, you have one that's working for you, you just stick with that color. You might see the color red. And then as we work with each exhale, sending that energetic line deeper and farther down into the earth, can you feel it move past your floor? Maybe just into the flooring underneath you. Maybe it can travel down past the foundation of your home. If you have a basement, past the basement. If you're on a second floor, past the first floor. All the way until it hits earth, till it hits the dirt. Exhale down. Make a strong root of an old, thick, beautiful tree. Roots deep down into the earth. And then once you feel like you have rooted into the earth, you feel that you have extended your awareness down. You can use your imagination to do this. It's the first step to being able to feel it. With each exhale, you press down through that root with our awareness, sending our energy down to be grounded into that earth element. Taking particularly any energy that's way up high into the third eye and beaming outward. Draw it in and down all the way through into the earth with your exhale. We'll do that a few more times. And then you keep that exhale, that connection to the earth, that connection to endurance and strength, stability. And on our inhale, we draw up qualities, longevity, rootedness, groundedness, strength, enduring. The exhale, we draw down, releasing anything that isn't serving us. The inhale, we draw up the qualities of the mother. So we root down to feel her qualities, to connect to them. And we inhale, draw up to draw them into ourselves. And she is such a brilliant composter of energy. She gives us back exactly what is needed for our growth, our continual connection to each other, to the divine. Our connection to our compassion and empathy. She supports that by nurturing us in our strength, giving us nourishment, and giving us a ground to stand on. Exhale, rooting down. Inhale, drawing that groundedness into you. Last few breaths like that. After the next exhale, letting go of your awareness, just allowing it to soften back into you. As if you can rest into your own body, rest back into the own back body. And just notice the quality of your mind, your physical body. As you're ready, a little bit of movement, maybe bringing the hands forward, touching the earth, and then blinking the eyes open and closed a few times to let the light in slowly. Finding a big inhale, reach the arms on up overhead. Exhale, hands come to the heart. Take the legs forward, shaking them out for a moment. Then we're going to set up for Supta Baddha Konasana. And when you set up here, it doesn't have to be the biggest back bend. So having something like a big pillow or a bolster can be too much. And have a blanket or towel in a log like that to have a little bit of elegance. So you have something vertical, a pillow or a bolster or a folded towel, like so, for behind your back. And then have the head to be elevated. When we practice restorative yoga, we want to, unless we're working with something specific in terms of releasing energy up your head, we want to create always a slight Jalandhara. I don't want to say always, there's always reasons why we wouldn't. But for today's practice, for the most part, we're going to create this slight Jandara with our neck. So that means chin towards the chest, which helps the nervous system de-escalate. And then you can use some pillows or blocks for underneath the knees. And you want to set yourself up when you do this to be a little bit more generous with your knees than you might normally be. So even if your legs can drop down pretty low, you might bring the supports farther in so that it's not about stretch. That's the other part about restorative. In terms of stretch sensation, it's really 0 to none. I guess that's both the same thing. So it's either none to very minimal. You know, if I'm thinking on percentages, 100% being my full range of motion, you know, I'm looking at maybe 0% to 10% of my range of motion. I want to be supported more than I want to be stretching. And then I always like to put something on my stomach just because it feels nice to ground my pelvis that way. If the elbows aren't touching the earth, you want to either lower the support underneath your back or place something underneath your elbows so that your hands can land. If any point of our body is sort of floating, we can end up feeling that the body will override our mind and it will hold on to tension that we're attempting to release. The hands can be anywhere though that is comfortable. So palms down or up, in a low V or at a T. And we continue to ride the wave of our grounding the line meditation. So just notice here in a different kind of posture, a posture that has a lot of opening through the front body, how that can also still feel very nourishing and grounded. And as you start to settle in, if there's any place that feels as if it's holding tension, you want to bring your awareness there. And either just through the awareness, sometimes that's enough. It might be able to soften and release. Or it might need to be adjusted, and not being afraid to move at any point. You should be physically comfortable, so making any adjustments either now or later so that you can be physically comfortable. You feel the back body. Does it have any resistance to settling into the earth and into the props? And you exhale and release. Let the jaw be soft. Let the eyes soften back into the head. Let the brain itself, as if you could control where it sits, can it soften and release by letting the neck go? And relaxes into the back of the skull. Let your third eye turn around and release back and down. And so I'll be quiet here for a few minutes. And with each of your exhales, just continuing to allow yourself to rest and to soften. Slowly start to come back into the room. Take a deeper inhale and a longer exhale. And keeping the body on the support, you'll just extend the legs out onto your mat. It's coming into the shape with straight legs for a few moments. And just noticing what even a few minutes of quietude does for the body, and how that translates over into the mind and emotional space. Not following any chain or story, but just staying with the sensations that you notice within your body. And staying with the experience. And as you're ready, any little movement through fingers, toes, just kind of start to pull you out of the shape. Might eventually bend the knees. And then you're gonna let yourself roll to your side body, and you'll press up for just a moment. And so if you didn't already, you're gonna be on your left side. And you keep the blanket, bolster, pillow just where it is. And there can be this extra pillow here or extra blanket here if needed. Might need to be a little bit lower. And your legs are kind of set up in this kind of like a zigzag shape. It can be the foot on the knee. It can also be tucked under. It can also be a lot more spread out, depending on how you're feeling in your pelvis today. And then we turn towards the bolster. Take a moment with an inhale. Can you feel the rotation through the waistline? Soften and widen at the pelvis as if the seat, the gluteal tissues could relax and go horizontal out through the sides of the pelvis, and then rotating at the navel, slowly start to bring the heart space down onto your prop. So you can let your head turn to the side, whatever feels comfortable. I'm going to keep my hand here so that you can still hear me with my earphones, your earbuds. But you can let both hands rest on the ground, onto the earth. Particularly, so we have our left hip down on the ground. Particularly, can you allow that right shoulder to soften into the earth? Or towards the earth, I should say. It's not probably landing on the earth. So just notice if that right shoulder is kind of held up towards your ear, and can you allow it to soften away? Notice at the space between the neck and the collarbone and the front of the shoulder, any holding. Again, continuing to soften through the hips and the pelvis. Releasing the body onto the support. Twisting is a nervous system body hack. So our vagal nerve comes all the way down into the stomach. And when you're doing a twist, we want to feel some of that rotation in the navel space.
And here in a restorative twist, we want to let go of any efforting within the hips, within the waist, within the chest. And just allow ourselves to surrender over to the props and to the support. Finding a deep, long exhale here. Feeling the body soften. So with as little effort as you can, press the hands into the earth. And if you just lift up enough to tuck the toes and flip the knees to the other side, you can come in really easily here. Again, we notice in through the waist, through the pelvis, releasing the pelvis. The gluteal tissue is horizontally across from side to side. Let the twist come in at the waist, and then slowly folding yourself back down onto your prop. Turning the gaze to the side, releasing the hands down. And here again, we just spend a few moments with the left shoulder. Just noticing if it's pulled up by the ear. Can I release that away from the face? Soften through the collarbones. Release my waist space. Any resistance to being supported by the props underneath you. Allowing yourself to surrender over to softness, to quiet. Slowly start to deepen the breath here. You eventually press into the hands and come back towards a seat for just a moment.
And we'll take our last posture. So you want to have a thinner, either a blanket or a towel, folded up in kind of a long fold like so. Not kind of a long fold, a real long fold. You want to smooth it out so that there's not any wrinkles in the blanket. And then either a pillow from your bed or the couch or a second blanket or towel. And this is folded a little bit thicker. So I have kind of on the short edge twice so that the head is higher than the heart. And then I have a blanket for my body for warmth. And when you come down, you want the top of your shoulder blades to be just above the blanket that's under the heart so that the arms can come out to the side here, but that it's not so there is the chi from the heart, so the prana or the energy from the heart is rolling towards the throat. The head is slightly tilted forward, so the chin is moving towards the chest, creating this seal and this potency within the throat chakra, drawing up our emotional, relational energy, as well as the energy from the more earthly chakra system, and creating this potency and this seal here at the throat. And it shouldn't be a big back bend, so that shouldn't feel like you are doing too much with the back. There might be a slight stretch sensation through the shoulders, but nothing big. And if your low back bothers you at all here, you can place another cushion or bolster or blanket underneath the thighs. And that just gives a little bit less of a low back bend. And then take your blanket or your cozy throw or your sweater and make sure that you're nice and warm. And so this is both our practice for creating this potency within the throat, and also our shavasana. So making sure that you're comfortable and settling in. We'll be here for a few moments, maybe a little bit longer than we've been practicing on these videos. So to give the body an opportunity to really drop down. Again, if there's any bit of tension or as if the opening through the chest is too much with the arms out, you can always place the hands on the chest. So bending the elbows and placing the hands in the chest, or even bringing the arms down and towards the belly. I like the chest a little bit better because it still helps the heart to roll a little bit more easily towards the throat while releasing the shoulders.
And find some full, deep inhales, letting the belly get nice and big. And then a long exhale on out. And do that a few more times, breathing in nice and deep. Long exhale on out. Noticing anywhere in the body that's holding on. It doesn't quite want to release into the earth, into the support underneath you. And just see if you can bring your awareness to that area or areas. Again, not in a forceful way, but with loving compassion towards yourself. Holding it with the softest of hands, the softest, gentlest of awareness. Seeing if with that encouragement of your intention, the body can soften even further. Just knowing that you can always adjust yourself at any point. If you're uncomfortable or something starts to not support the rest here. Otherwise, we use this as an opportunity to practice stillness and quietude. Allowing the body to let go of any efforting, letting the mind fall back into the back side of the skull. Soften the awareness. We'll rest here together. After your next exhale, you'll slowly bring the hands to either the heart space or the belly if they're not there already. And just allowing the hands to rest on the heart or the belly. Feeling your inhale as the body expands. Feeling the exhale, the body moves back inward. And coming back to that physical sensation, how the body meets the hands, noticing the texture of the clothing or the blanket as you inhale and exhale here. Eventually, you'll allow some gentle movement to come back into the body. Anything that feels good and nourishing to you. Wiggling the fingers, stretching the arms overhead, or drawing the knees in towards the chest, or anything that intuitively happens in your body. And eventually, as you're ready, you'll let yourself roll to your side body. And then slowly pressing yourself on up to a seat. The hands rest on the lap here for a moment, the eyes closed. Inhale and exhale here. The next exhale, draw down through the sea. Inhale, drawing up those qualities, quietude and strength and groundedness. Exhale, releasing into the earth. Inhale, calling her home into your body. One more like that. And exhaling, connecting to the earth, energy of the ground, rootedness, feeling yourself supported. Inhale, drawing in those qualities of strength and endurance and steadiness. And as you're ready, bringing your hands to your heart, bowing the head on in. Just feeling into that expansive space within you. in connection to the infinite wellspring. With so much love and blessings, may you be receptive to grace. Namaste.